We are the absolute mutual aid of the 911 system, where no matter what the type of call is, the city knows that Hatzolah is a resource that all neighborhoods, especially Flatbush, with our resources, can be able to go to any neighborhood and to help out with any scene.
When COVID hit, we went up another 35 calls a day. That's almost double.
It was almost like certain days felt like a war zone, and we didn't know when this would end and how long more this would go on.
Hatzolah wouldn't accept the fact of having a radio system. We had a dispatching machine in my house. We were dispatchers, my wife, not me, 4 to 7 p.m. Very hard. People come home, they start thinking about themselves.
We had only telephone communications with the dispatcher. As time went on, we grew the beepers. Response time was held back because of beepers, because when the base would call you, you'd get a beep, you'd see the phone number, you'd have to go find a payphone somewhere. Obviously, we didn't have phones. And find a payphone and make a phone call to the dispatcher, where am I going? So of course that increased the time. Rabbi Silverberg walked in one day to a meeting, to a central meeting that we were having, and said it's time that we should have radios like the firemen and the policemen have. And everyone started laughing.
And when the chuckling stopped, they basically told us that we were dreaming, and this is not something for Hatzolah radio system, like they couldn't fathom it. This was not in it was not in their mindset. We picked up 3 used walkie-talkies and 1 used mobile unit. Call came in. They dispatched the call on the radio. Zevi Trank happened to be right around the corner from the call, and he walked in literally while they were still speaking to the dispatcher. They were amazed, like, how did you get it? How'd you know? Like, that was the beginning of the radio system, and the rest is history.
It was in our own channel. And volunteer ambulance corps were joined in with school bus drivers. So we could have a baby not breathing, and the dispatcher has to wait for somebody ordering pizza for a school bus. And when he's finished, then so that couldn't go on.
Queen's member, Q39, his name was Judd Mansbach, Olav Shalom, and he worked for the FCC, and he was very instrumental in getting us our own private frequency, and that's a frequency we still have until today.
When we started having 3-4 ambulances in the streets, when the calls from 2-3 a week or 20-30 a week, we realized we needed storage. We realized we had to hire a secretary. We realized it just became much bigger than a small little volunteer organization.
We really had no central place to store our supplies. I was a service unit. I was 17 years old when I joined, and I used to carry equipment in my trunk and would go around from ambulance location to ambulance location where they were parked.
For me, the catalyst was when they built the Ocean Avenue garage. That was a massive building. Before the Ocean Avenue garage, we just had the Avenue M and Ocean Parkway garage, which didn't house anything other than the tiny bathroom and the ambulance.
In about 1995, we decided to knock down the building. We started a fundraising campaign. I have to give credit to, as I know him as Uncle Joe Esses. He was the person behind the fundraising.
My Uncle Joe Esses was my mentor, my uncle, my teacher, my friend. I can only imagine the excitement and pride that came with receiving the first ambulance and establishing the first building. It's a testament to Uncle Joe's perseverance and leadership that he was able to bring people together and make that a vision a reality.
We had room for 6 ambulances. We moved in 1999. We had as much storage as we needed, and it just changed everything. We had places to do training. Before that, we had nowhere to do training. We had all the equipment. All the ambulances were inside. That changed everything in Hatzolah from the first 15 years of its being.
February of 1993, which was the first explosion that we had down in the World Trade Center. Hatzolah's response there was an amazing response. It wasn't a Friday, so it was definitely that we were giving of ourselves. We, Baruch Hashem, didn't have to make it into Shabbos, but our response was there. 9/11, of course, was a major response.
97 code 1, go ahead. Fall off the roof. Fall off the World Trade Center. Best time to 1 7 off the roof. World Trade Center. Something also at the World Trade Center. Code 1 backup order.
I think that what's amazing is that we are the absolute mutual aid of the 911 system, where no matter what the type of call is, the city knows that Hatzolah is a resource that all neighborhoods, especially Flatbush, with our resources can be able to go to any neighborhood and to help out with any scene.
We were about 150 members strong when I started in 1996, but COVID really proved to us that there was so much more that we need to do for the community. Each and every one of us, in our own way, helped shape and mold the direction of the community and where we are today.
We got hit with no warning. We had the members, the service units, everybody, instead of giving 5-6 hours, people were giving 18 to 20 hours a day.
You were looking ahead literally day by day. We didn't know what tomorrow would bring. We didn't know what the evening would bring. There were times that we were jumping from call to call without even finishing one on the same block where there was another critical patient.
During COVID and after COVID, many people came over to me and said, it's unbelievable how I heard the sirens 24 hours a day. Middle of the night in the mornings, it was mind-boggling that all day Hatzolah was flying back and forth, I'd say 100 times a day, or even more, going back and forth. That's when it hit, the people noticed that Hatzolah is part of our life.
The fear of the unknown was the hardest part. You didn't know whether you'd be alive in a week from now because COVID was killing so many people.
When our family were not feeling well, when people were sick, when people were unfortunately going to the hospitals, we were a source of strength for the community at large, and they kept reaching out to us, and we just never gave up.
We became as one family, and I believe now after COVID, we are a much stronger organization, a much stronger community.